friends, how's it going today? It's good to be with you. I have a very long day ahead of me. I'm shooting this on Monday and I need a long wearing makeup look. I really won't have time to mess with this again. I need it to last, let's see, it's 5 o'clock now. I need this to be lasting till like 9, okay? I'll probably get home at like 9:30 and that's my day. So I'm gonna be real life here, using products I can count on, using products that will not require a touch-up. So it's not, this is not a test run here. These are all things that I can really count on. I'm gonna focus on the complexion for this video because that's really where the combination of products matters most. So for the first part of my day, I've got a lot of around the house stuff to do today that I couldn't do yesterday. Yesterday was Belle's end of the year cheer banquet. That took up 3 hours of my afternoon and evening, so I've got a little meal prep catch up and different things to get done on that end today. And then tonight we have back-to-back shows. The school's spring sing for Belle is at 6, and her dance show, which is a 2-night thing, but night 1 of the dance show is at 7 in a different town. Fortunately, we're close, but last night Bub and I were like strategizing on how quickly we can get out of that school and get over to the dance show because they're in Act 2, both of the girls, so we'll have a first act and an intermission to get there and then get them dancing. Belle's actually gonna wear her dance outfit for the spring sing. So yeah, before we can get into a chill, laid back summer, we're gonna ramp up. And I need makeup that's gonna look good all day, untouched basically. So here we go. First off, I need a sip of coffee because I was not ready to get up today. We're gonna use the Hard Candy Sheer Envy Hydrating Primer. This is an old school fave. It has the 12-hour makeup grip. Think e.l.f. gripping primer or Milk, but smoother. It does feel hydrating, but it like just doesn't have quite the stickiness as you apply it. Now, as it sits on your skin there for a few seconds and you touch your skin, you're like, yeah, now I can kind of tell there's something a little tacky going on, right? But as you apply it, it offers no resistance, which I think is really nice. And it's just a super underrated, under the radar thing. For foundation, I have a handful of really good long wearing drugstore routes I could go. I'm gonna do Rimmel Lasting Finish today. I could definitely count on this stuff. This does have an SPF 20 in it, by the way. I rarely mention that, but I wear 200 soft beige. We've got the pump. We're gonna go for a full pump. Whoa, oh, it's got a little clog there on the front, so it's coming out a little crazy. We're gonna dab it around. Oh, another fun little kink in everything this weekend. We escaped getting tornado damage because a tornado went basically just to our south in our area. It's being clocked as an EF4. Mega damage south of a neighboring town. I feel terrible for that. This is my e.l.f. Total Face Sponge. Over the weekend, created some like toiletry and makeup bags. Just, I don't know how many I created in total. It might have been about 15 or 16, filled with overflow PR makeup, unopened things that, you know, somebody could just kind of grab and go. Took those to the Red Cross on Saturday morning and they were glad to get them. So I kind of felt a little funny, like, you know, some people are coming in with a chainsaw ready to do the necessary work and here I am with these. But the lady said they were actually looking for things of that nature that they could give. So I guess the timing was right on that. So the storms passed around, what was it, 5:30 to maybe 6:30. We had a while where things were going on radar. Actually a period of time where I thought we were totally in the clear, but then, you know, this storm pushed through. Here I am blending that all in, getting really good, I would say strong medium coverage with this sponge. You might say, well, Em, if you know you can get fuller coverage applying with a brush, why not do that? I feel like getting the foundation actually as thin as possible on my skin will make it wear really consistently and look fresher all day. Plus, I know I'm going on top with concealer and stuff. Anyways, we get through the storm. And after the storm, Belle starts to say, my ear hurts. Now, I don't know if there was some immense pressure change in the air that prompted an earache to actually surface, but I'm thinking primarily she got water in her ears when we were swimming during our trip, and that bloomed into an ear infection. So she was really hurting, and the storm had passed through. I'm thinking, are urgent cares even open around here? Like, a lot of places shut down in anticipation of this weather moving through. One urgent care that I called was open. She was able to get in. They were open for like 40 minutes. Why is my life so fast like this? She got there. She got the prescription. But this is the first time a kid has been in Like, she was to the point of tears in pain. Normally I'll hear kids say, oh, my ear hurts just a little bit, you know, like it'll be subtle, but they'll sense it and then, you know, boom, I'm on it. Like here, she didn't say anything and she didn't feel anything until it was really hurting. And she's been on antibiotics now at this point for like a couple days, and she hasn't been in tearful pain, but like Saturday it still hurt a lot, of Sunday it still hurt somewhat, and then last night for the cheer banquet, thankfully it started to feel a little better. Sand, Rimmel Multitasker Concealer in Sand. This concealer is really good, and it always seems to do a good job on top of Rimmel Lasting Finish Foundation. So we're talking that real good coverage here. And I'm going to spread that out with a smaller brush. Why don't I use this Morphe guide, this Morphe M132. That chunky, that very dense brush. I'm going to make this take up some room and then blend over it with my e.l.f. sponge. I'm sorry I'm getting into so much story time. We're just in a very active period right now. But I guess I'm just kind of explaining the fact that we've got a lot going on and we're going to be like scraping past the finish line for the end of the school year, because I hate that she's had to be in any sort of pain. Like, I don't handle that well. It makes me very antsy and anxious if I feel like a kid's dealing with some pain that I can't solve, you know, like I've done everything I can do, like, let's get you better. But from what I understand, it can take a good couple days for things to get better, and I think she might have had a pretty major infection going on there. And I just wonder if the pressure change of the storm, because it was literally, we went down to the basement, we had the warning, we came back up, and that was when she felt it. What the heck, you know? Wild times we are in. This is looking so good. So yeah, I really think bringing in the sponge is good when you're thinking about freshness of makeup, long wear style. You know, we're not just wanting this to be present on our skin, we're wanting it to feel and look fresh and maintain that all day. And sometimes the over application of makeup, I think I'm seeing it more on my skin. Like if too much gets on and then I reach 3 o'clock in the afternoon and I give myself a look, I'll catch myself on that over application. But this guards against that a lot, the use of a sponge. So I'm going to stick with just my usual method here. Now I know sometimes I dabble in the thought of, now I'm going to stick with creams and then maybe we'll set with a little powder by the end. This works very well for me when staying power is the ultimate goal. So I'm going to powder that under eye right away with the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Loose Powder in the soft pink. And then I'm also going to powder the rest of my face with Maybelline Superstay Hybrid Powder Foundation. But this is going to add more brightness, and it's also just going to, you know, set things, keep it going. But I was so glad that Belle was really starting to come around the time of her cheer banquet last night, because they honor the team and the coaches and everything. They also reveal the theme of next year, which is Broadway. So it was not anything she wanted to miss. I think I used the opposite side of this little sponge for a bit. Then I take my under eye bullet brush and dab it around. But something that just keeps getting reinforced in my area to me is that tornadoes can happen to you. I think many people have the mentality of it's just something you see on the news, it's just something that happens to other people, and I've felt this way for a while in doing the news and living in this area. That tornado could have just as easily taken out my house. And I really feel for the people who have gotten to the level where homes were wiped off foundations. You know, the slab is just what remains. There's just so much going on in our area right now. People talking about the missing pets, curfews in place, so there's no like looting. It reminds me on a much more extreme scale of the feeling of the May 8th storm years and years ago in this area. That was actually a derecho that went through, and there was just so much damage everywhere. Carbondale just had a curfew. We're going to move on to the Superstay Hybrid Powder Foundation in 128, and this is a very soft powder. I always say it every time. A little bit goes a long way. You don't need a thick amount, just get a thin amount. If I were to go ahead and let's say right after I put on the concealer, let's say I started putting on cream contour and stuff, or just rolling through those cream face steps, this wouldn't really have a chance to go everywhere, you know, because I don't want to be topping all that off with a good coverage powder. So to me, this kind of needs to happen now. And the skin is looking, I would say, to the point of full coverage with the combination of products applied at this point. And then I'm going to do some cream and powder layering on the bronzer and the blush. I'm going to pick a cream. I don't think it really matters which one I pick because I'm going to put it on thin and I'm going to set it with a powder. This is the Milani Cheek Kiss Cream Bronzer. I like the shade called Spicy Season, and I can dip right in with my Sephora 56. Even after testing 8 million Morphe brushes, this one remains the great cream bronzer and blush brush. But I'm just going to get that going, and I want some color on my skin. But the really amazing news regarding this storm was that there were no fatalities. An EF4 tornado, I mean, going through, maybe not the whole time a real populated area, but eventually hitting homes and barns and just various outdoor structures. And there were some injuries, but no deaths. Like, that's just amazing. Hitting the contour zones. You can see, even with powder on top, like, I'm not disrupting what's underneath because this isn't a difficult blend, okay? You got to think about that. What I said, you could choose about any cream product here. Well, make sure it's something that you don't have any challenge with blending, that you're not like pressing and really working over the skin in a super hard and aggressive way, because that will eventually mess up what was underneath, and you don't want to do that. You put in all that work. I don't think I even mentioned it, but this is all going to be drugstore. I just love my drugstore makeup, and if we can do it at a drugstore price, why the heck not? These are some of my first choice items, you know? I'm not even trying to, oh, let's make it work at a drugstore price. No. Just building a little bit more here. Okay, I think that's looking really good. And then, you know what? We're just gonna put some bronzer over the top of that. This is my Rimmel Natural Bronzer in the shade Sun Bronze. I'm gonna keep it really light. I'm just gonna go with this angled Sephora brush. And we're just going to go over the top of where the cream was applied. Would you have to do this? No. You could use, say, just a cream or maybe a really pigmented powder that you just knew lasts all day on you. But this is kind of covering the just in case. I know this is going to work for me. You can go down the neck with this too. That's the benefit of having a powder bronzer in the game, is that it can cover larger surface areas. Next up, I'm going to do a little blush layering. I'm going to take my Neutrogena Hydro Boost stick. The shade is Temptation. It's this pretty, like, kind of reddish peachy color. It's really pretty. And swipe that on my cheeks. This is just yet another Sephora 56 that I own. So the same type of brush that I blended out the cream contour with. And we're going to stamp this in. Okay, we're just stamping over it. No tugging, stamp it on. How can we bounce back between cream textures and powder textures and other creams, other powders? It's all about the quality of the products, the blendability of the products, and the manner of the blending. The products make it easy, and the blending does not have to be too aggressive. And then here's the powder I'm going on top with, this Rimmel Maxi Blush. I know that blush was super light, but it was something, and it's going to give something to cling to here. Rimmel Maxi Blush in Wild Card. This is a super pretty shade, and it's very pigmented. Okay, sometimes blush can be the first thing to go in our makeup look, but if we pick one, it's got a little extra strength, you know, pick one of these, pick a L'Oreal Infallible blush, whatever you got that feels a little on the strong side. If you're wanting all day wear, no touch-ups, that's going to be a good choice. And look, there's not a bit of streakiness on this skin. There is not a bit of like, whoa, I can see where things have shifted and changed. Not a bit. I'm just kind of slowly building this up. I'm letting it come up high. We were very brightened and fully covered on that under eye, and if you want this to come up a little higher, go for it. Then we do need highlight, because one thing's for sure, we're pretty darn matte. A little Revlon Skin Lights and Daybreak Glimmer. Get some of that with your Real Techniques setting brush. It doesn't need to take a lot. But this is really a step that makes all the difference. It takes your great coverage, your staying power, it doesn't change any of that, but it makes it look fresh. So I get little bits on my brush. I picture, just for the shape of my forehead, you know, a forehead is not fully flat, it wraps around. So I think of hitting those spots that are protruding out. Might do a little Cupid's bow action here, why not? Okay, this is our complexion that's not going to change. And then L'Oreal Infallible 3-second setting mist. I love this stuff, but I have kind of put it on the back burner because I'm about out of it. And I just was knowing, like, I'm going to reserve this for the times when I really need it most. This works so well. But it's not every day that this is so crucial. So here we go. Smells like hairspray, but I know I'm set. Brows are even setting up. That's the thing. If you're really thinking, if you're really on the ball with it, you will do your brows before that mist goes on. But anyways, that's what we've got. I'm gonna finish eye and lip and I'll be right back. Alrighty, my loves, here we are with the finished look. I'm gonna fill you in on everything that happened outside of the complexion. I just grabbed for a couple brow things that I'm working through right now. The Benefit Precisely My Brow Pencil. I mean, this could easily be drugstore. You guys know how I feel about skinny brow pencils and the fact that every drugstore brand has one and a lot of them are pretty good and pretty equal. But also the Precisely My Brow Wax. Just a little something to set. This has a tint. Both are shade 4. I used my Wet n Wild Mega Last eyeshadow primer because she really is good. And over recent weeks, that product has completely proven itself. Went for just a real basic eye. In the interest of long wear, something to think about. If you really want it to last, if you really want it to look the same all day, not every shimmery shadow can be counted on. Some of them are going to have way too much sparkle. Some are going to unexpectedly drift down on your cheeks. Not everything is a Patrick Ta. That's just one more way your makeup can end up not looking the same as when you started, is if you bring shimmer and sparkle and glitz into the mix. So go for a matte basic. You know, you can still look glam. I use this e.l.f. Perfect 10 palette and it's so good. So easily blendable, perfect gradient of shades, really easy to like start in with one of these and then get a little deeper with those and then tap like that peach right back on my lid. Could not be easier. Here's an eyeliner that I have learned is just on there like iron, on there till you take it off, and it seems to come off. It's practically like the tubing mascara of eyeliner. I can't say it peels off, but it doesn't break down. I would say 8 out of 10 times that I'm taking this off, I'm bringing in my Lancome eye makeup remover to actually get it off. Milani Stay Put Tank Liner. They're making it the way they made their little eyeliners in the Inkwell, and then I questioned for a couple years whether that formula was really as good as it was back when I did like my makeup that lasted during childbirth. Oh, this Milani eyeliner. And then it kind of, something changed. Well, this is a great formula here. I'm noticing it even more in the black than the brown. So I just put that liquid liner on. I used a little bit of a dark brown pencil. This is just a Makeup Forever one in dimensional dark brown, but whatever you got, just like blend under your wing a little bit. It helps. And then other than that, not going too hard on my lower lash line in any way. Yesterday, I had a real good long wearing shadow stick on my lower lash line. Today, I thought, let's just keep it kind of classic wingy. But if you want your makeup to last all day, one thing I would not advise doing is going under your eye with a bunch of eyeshadow, because that stuff is just not going to cling on there real well. For mascara on the top, I'm wearing my new Maybelline Colossal Bubble that I'm still kind of experimenting with, and the e.l.f. Lash Extender on the lower lashes. Choosing a tubing mascara there because it's not capable of smudging, smearing, transferring down. Now for lips, what I've put on today, it's kind of a lightweight long wear type of product. I use this Milani Color Fetish Hydrating Lip Stain, and this shade is called, I think this is called Mahogany Mommy. It's like a warm reddish brown. I thought it would kind of complement the cheek pretty well. Looks good. I like this. It's got a little shine. Some will transfer off, like a tiny amount will, but it's pretty much on there. Even so, if we're talking throughout the course of an entire day, it might not be the most long wear. What I may do later in the day, if I have a moment to get back up here, I would take some Superstay Vinyl ink. This shade is called Lippy. It would look pretty similar to this. These really stay on until you take them off. I actually had remnants of Koi on my lips that I wore last night to the cheer thing. That's a pinky tone of this. Really, really hardcore long wear, but not drying feeling. And you know, maybe there will be a small window in the day where I can come up and I can touch things up, or I could throw on a false lash too, or do something else to this look. But if I'm honest with myself, when Uga goes to school and he's the last kid out the door for school, I'm gonna be working on video. And then I'm picking him up, dealing with him, and then when he's napping, napping, I'm gonna be working on the video and hopefully meal prepping some things. And then I'm picking the girls up. And then when they get home, I'm getting 2 girls in full glam for dance and making sure I don't forget anything for the dance show, getting everything we need in the car so we can jet straight over there after the spring sing. So more than likely, this face is not getting touched again, and I am so happy with the way it looks. And one thing, if you were wondering, if you're not real familiar with this mist, because a lot of times I'll use a mist and I'll say, oh, that makes my skin look a little more glowy, or it felt like it made the whole face seem a bit more lived in, or brought a dewiness to the complexion that the powdery products didn't give it. That's not really what this does. I don't feel like this changes the appearance. It's just a locking in mechanism, okay? You spray it all over and you got those 3 seconds and it does not give glow. A pretty good one that gives glow and gives me some staying power is that e.l.f. Power Grip. I've used this one quite a bit. It's separated at first and then you shake it. e.l.f. Power Grip Dewy Setting Spray. That one definitely will add some glow. Super fine mist, so you have a lot of control over this one. It gives you some glow and I think it has a good effect on staying power too. Guys, hopefully this was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions about any of the products I used. There are some situations where you could swap out other things that I like. You know, the Rimmel Lasting Finish Foundation. I also like the CoverGirl Outlast Extreme Wear. For concealer, you know, NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop is a good option. e.l.f. Camo Concealer or the Hydrating Camo Concealer would be good. I've just really found that these two make good buddies. They're from the same brand and something about their formula just meshes well with one another. So anyway, guys, thank you for your time. If you're in the same boat as me and things are ramping up for the end of the year, do some long wear makeup at the start of the day so you don't have to worry about it later. Okay, I'll see you soon. I love you. Bye.